Good evening, everyone. How's everyone doing? Hope everyone's doing well. Kato Sicarius, I'm afraid someone might have to translate that for me. And Tipo, I'm sure you know what they said. I only know English, unfortunately. Ryan, hello. Edward, hello. Cheeseburger the Second, have you ever considered reinforcing your goblins with some orcs or a giant? So the night goblins I've done, I've kind of created as a standalone army. And when you've got access to mangler squigs, you don't really need a giant. But I do have plans on doing an orc and goblin army next year, but it'll be after Tomb Kings, and that's when I'll do orcs and sort of normal goblins. But I've been thinking about adding, I have thought about adding a giant to my night goblins, but I just think it's too many points for all it is. But I do want to add some spider riders to my night goblins, which I've been thinking about. Baked Nerd, hello. Hello again, Edward. Nosk, hey, how is it going, man? Hope your day's going well. We'll say maybe he'll be painting the new Ultramarines. Well, yeah, we'll have a, in a few, like, give it another 5-10 minutes, we'll talk about all the new releases. But as soon as Titus is out, I will paint him, because I'll be a hypocrite. Because if you've been in my live streams, I always moan about how Titus isn't available, but they sure showed me, didn't they, that they had a new Titus manager planned. So as soon as he's available, I will be painting him for the channel. I didn't think I'd be painting any more Ultramarines until the next edition, but I'd be silly not to paint him when he's available. I don't know if I'll be painting the bodyguard that he comes with. We'll have to see, but I'll definitely be painting Titus himself, because he's a really nice miniature, so I'm looking forward to doing that. Yeah, so I think that's the only new Ultramarine I will be painting. Edward, I'm doing a 1,000-point game with my brother, Orcs versus Nids. Well, Orcs should win that one. Good luck. Welcome back, Ryan. So how's everyone doing? Sunday evening. It's been quite sunny today. It's been really bad weather this week with the storms. A lot of rain. But hopefully no one's been affected too badly by it. What else has happened? Last weekend was all the new releases. I think it was a really great showcase, to be fair. I'm really looking forward to the narrative, sort of like the continuation of the narrative with the 500 worlds. I think that's really interesting. And it sort of brings Necrons back into it. But I guess that's probably just like the first part of it. But no, I'm really looking forward to it. I really do want to do a Necron army. But I want to do an Eldar army before Necrons. But all the new miniatures look amazing. Orcs is best. Ryan, I'm good. Airfix models and drawings. I've actually been, during the week I've been working on a Lancaster, but that's been put up again because I need to get on with some of my Warhammer stuff. But it's good to have something different outside the Warhammer hobby, just to have a bit of a break from it, because obviously it's, like for me, I do it all day every day, so Airfix is like my extra that I like to do for myself, just to give myself a break now and again. Salim BJK, hello, I'm currently painting my Dreadnought. Your tutorial is very good. Thank you very much. I'm assuming you're probably going to be doing the Ultramarines. That's a really good tutorial that I really enjoyed doing with the Dreadnought, because that was kind of like the first real big miniature that I painted for the channel. Before that, it was just kind of infantry. And then Nosk, just starting the hobby, but been watching a lot of your videos. Thanks for all the content. Just purchased a wet palette, so hoping I don't screw up too badly. Don't worry about making mistakes. I think the more you worry about it, the more likely it is to happen. But just I think the first real thing you need to do is just sort of get used to the whole process. Because it is weird holding a paintbrush and like just going through the motions of taking paint from the pot and painting. Baked Nerd, I have a random question for you. Where do you get your music for the channel from? It's super catchy and forever humming it to myself when I'm painting. Source needed. So I do Epidemic Sound. I think it's just kind of under the hip hop genre. I keep looking to change it, but the couple of bits of music that I sort of switch between, I haven't found anything that I like to change it. I do look now and again. But yeah, it's from Epidemic Sound. I'll tell you what the 2 pieces of music are called that I use on Epidemic Sound. Oh no, I can't because my hard drive isn't plugged in. But I think it's the main one I use. I think it's called All Saints, but don't quote me on that. But yeah, I use that. I mean, most people on YouTube use Epidemic Sound just to save them from getting the copyright strikes. And Tipo, I'm painting Knight Questaris. Yeah, I saw in the Discord earlier that you started on that. I'm looking forward to seeing that. I do want to paint a knight in the first sort of quarter of next year. Probably going to be, well, it depends when Titus comes out. If it comes out in the first quarter, it'll probably be after Tomb Kings. Ryan, your birthday's coming up. You have no idea what to get. Just wait as close as possible. Don't even think about it and just get what you think in the moment. Because I always end up changing my mind close to the time of wanting something. Selim, I'm currently also new in the hobby. Yeah, I think this time of year kind of brings more people back into the hobby again, just because of the weather, and everyone's sort of more likely to stay indoors. Everyone's been on holiday, they've been out and about and spent the time outside. I think everyone's sort of getting ready to hibernate, which is good obviously for my channel. My birthday's coming up soon, the start of December, but I already know that I'm buying myself a Tomb Kings army. So that's what, in 3 weeks, on the 9th. Yeah, so I'll be buying, so for the Tomb Kings I'm going to buy the main box. I've already got, a friend's already bought me the Tomb Guard for them, and I'd need to get the Necrosphinx and a catapult. That's it really. That's 2,000 points I've worked out. I think I need to get a battle standard as well. But honestly, that main box you get is really good. I'm gonna sneeze. Sorry about that. Yeah, but that's what I'm getting for my birthday. is Tomb Kings. And honestly, for Christmas, I'm probably going to get myself an Airfix kit. And I'll probably do the Airfix kit between Christmas and New Year. There's a little break. Am I going to do a magnet tutorial useful for the night and all the weapons? I don't really use magnets, to be honest with you. If I build stuff like Warhammer wise, I tend to just build it as I want it. I don't really play much in 40k wise, so I don't really know. I'm quite new to magnets really. I only use them for the base. But if I start using magnets generally when I do stuff, I might do a tutorial. But to be honest, you could probably make. I don't really know what you'd want to know about magnets. There isn't that. I think the general size magnet you get is a 5mm by 2mm magnet, a round magnet. I think they're pretty standard. They're linked in my description for the ones I get. Then I just use super glue. You just need to make sure the polarity of the magnet. That's it really, but generally I don't tend to use magnets. Nosk, my biggest reason for starting mini painting has been a way to feel like de-stressing and just relaxing with painting. Yeah, that's a great way, like any kind of hobby or any kind of something you do with your hands, you can just turn your sort of brain off. Yeah, it's a great way to do that. Even especially when I'm not filming through tutorial, I still love painting miniatures, my own stuff, because I can just sort of zone out. It's just really, it is de-stressing, not distressing, but it does help just to chill, especially just putting like an audio book or just some music. It's probably the best thing, something to listen to rather than watch. I'll show you in a minute what I've been working on this week. Edward, I showed my dad your videos. He said you're the best painter he's seen. Kind of watched many painters then, but I appreciate that. I appreciate him. Thank you. I'm flattered. Yeah, I'm getting on a bit. I'm probably about. I've still got a lot to learn, but it's been a fun journey. Selim, yeah, I don't use magnets either. The way like magnets are quite expensive as well, so I'll try and limit my use. Magnus, Prague, started collecting 40k a year ago, Orcs and Battle Sisters. Your guide for both have been a huge help. However, I can't find your guide for the Orc bases. Did you use pigment or just dry brush reds? It's just the pre-made gravel you can buy off Geek Gaming Scenics or Geeks. Yeah, I think it's Geek Gaming Scenics. Or anywhere really, you can just get like a pre-mix, it's like a Martian mix. This stuff here. I was gonna put it in my basing video, but I'm a bit funny about directing people to external websites, even if I use them, because you don't know how long they're going to be viable. Yeah, it's just a mix, and then you use PVA glue to stick it to the base. That's it, nice and simple. But I do show how to do like a Martian base, and you can use Martian Iron Crystal, I think it's called. And honestly, I prefer using the texture paints to this gravel stuff, because this gravel stuff does, it comes off the base because it's just stuck on with PVA glue, and it uses its vibrancy as well over time. I just think the texture paints are easier to do and they last. And you don't even need to paint the texture paints either. You could probably just give them a dry brush if you really wanted to. So you could just do the iron crust and give it a dry brush of wild Raider red. I just like to get fancy. But if I was to start again, well, I have thought about rebasing my orcs to doing the texture paint. But that's for future me to worry about. But yeah, it's the Stuff Geek Gaming Scenics. Forge Ferren. Hi Michael, only one question for my Ultramarines. Can I use in black contrast paint like a shade for the armor? Non-oil is not so strong for this, I think. So it depends which. So I know what you mean, like the recess shading. If you're gonna do an all-over wash for your armor, I would stick to non-oil. You don't want it to be that strong because you're just gonna make the blue darker than it needs to be. You could use contrast, but contrast is really dark. If you, because the issue you're having, I don't know, because you probably watched my first original Ultramarine tutorial, maybe one to use at the recesses. I would use Cantor Blue in the recesses, so that's what I use in the more recent Ultramarine videos, because it has got it is strong and it comes through, and that's just painted into the recesses, and that way you're not darkening the blue armor. But if you were to do an all over wash, I would just stick to non-oil. But if it's not strong enough, I would actually just try, I would switch to just doing a recess shade. It takes a little bit longer, but it's not that difficult to do. Magnus, I thought maybe it was the Martian base in your tutorial, but they're quite, they didn't look alike. I haven't got any orcs to hand at the moment, but no, the orc bases are done with the gravel. Ryan, I love decorating bases, especially for bow action and Warhammer. Yeah, you can get really creative. Like you can try and go for like a really realistic style, which you probably want for something like bolt action, or you can go for something really extreme for something like Age of Sigmar. I know people do really dynamic bases with like cork, and they spend as much time on the bases as they do the miniatures. Edward, my dad said he likes your painting style, especially the Space Wolves. Yeah, I have a real soft spot for the Space Wolves. I really like their colour scheme. I feel like I could have done better on the last tutorial. There may be, I may revisit this Space Wolves. I know I do want to paint Logan Grimnar at some point. He's on my list that I'd really like to do. I've used the AK Interactive Dry Grounds texture paint and tried to reach the same orange and red colours. You're a huge help no matter what. Oh, thank you. Any texture paint or the AK stuff will work with this as well, because they do like the crackle paint and the texture paint. and you can just paint over it. It's just, the idea was just to show that you can paint it and dry brush it, and add cool stuff to it. I've really enjoyed doing the snow as well. It looks good. Modern World, so you've only used AK dry grounds, haven't tried anything else, looks great, and can just prime black and whatever color alternatives. Yeah, the texture paints and crackle paints, I think they all sort of started coming out at the same time. I couldn't tell you who did it first, probably Vallejo, to be honest. But to be fair, Games Workshop are usually ahead of the curve as well. Like with the contrast paints. But yeah, you can, as long as they're completely dry, you can paint them, dry brush them, wash them, and just generally paint them. They're just there to create the texture, or you can just leave them as is. Forge Ferren, thanks. I watch all of your tutorials many times. It's only for testing a new approach about this part. But yes, Cantor Blue also. Yeah. If you were to ask me which to do, I would go the recess shade route with the Cantor Blue. I just feel like it's more sustainable. And it's probably something that as you paint more, you'll start relying less on washes and shades and want to do more recess shading. But yeah, let's talk about the new releases. I thought it was a really great release. The releases were really good. And obviously they've been releasing a lot of Ultramarines recently, but they're obviously already getting ready for next year. But with this 500 worlds sort of narrative, I really like it. I'm looking forward to it. And I think making Titus the main focus of this campaign is going to be a real big benefit. So obviously people are going to know it from the Space Marine 2 game, and vice versa. People sort of doing this narrative will be more likely to try out the game just to sort of catch up with Titus's sort of backstory. I really love the Nurgle, what are they called? They're not Plague Marines. They're the Nurgle Knights. Someone will have to tell me. I'm gonna try and remember on my own. They're called the Blight Ones. I'm terrible with names. But yeah, I love the sort of like the metallic green they've got for them. I do think they're absolutely crazy. They've got so many details. It's crazy. It's really intimidating to paint. I'm starting to wonder if the stuff they're bringing out is too detailed. I've always said this: if you're coming into the hobby, you want to feel like you feel like you're capable. Yeah, the Nurgle, the Blight guys. But Nurgle's always been really sort of detailed, but they're all fantastic, and they've obviously got the fantasy version of the Pox Walkers as well. The Cathay stuff as well looks really good. So these are for Age of Sigmar, the new Nurgle stuff. But they're just like really big. See if I can find them. It's in my head and not knowing now. Nurgle. Maggotkin. No, they're the demons. Blight Kings. So I think they're just called the Blight Kings. Oh, the Pestigors as well. The Pestigors are a great addition. Because in the old fantasy, all the gods had their own version of beastmen. So you've already got Zangors. And now you've got Pestigors. So there's Slangors and I think probably Corngors. I'm not sure any of those. So it's only the Zangors out at the minute. And now you've got Pestigors. So it'd be good to see Slangors as well. Yeah, so Blight Kings or Blight Lords. Fake Street Spirit. I think you can beat the detail with Nurgle. I don't think you need to be as precise, but can still make them look great. Yeah, I think so too. I mean, contrasts are great for Nurgle or anything super detailed. And you could sort of get away with painting a lot of the details the same colour and doing like a quick dry brush. But still, it can be quite intimidating. The new Hero Quest box looks absolutely stunning. It's probably going to be a bit too much money for me to want to buy. But the Cathay stuff looks really good. I wasn't expecting a sort of second wave of Cathay, to be fair. But if you play Warhammer Total War, they have got like the peasantry. So I guess this covers that. And then obviously next week you've got the new Marauders coming out as well. So Old World's getting some good support, whether you're a fan of Cathay or not. But it's just nice to see new miniatures for an old army as well. So obviously Chaos got updated miniatures. Especially since you've got, it's crazy as well, because you've got the Age of Sigmar version of Marauders as well. So I wasn't expecting new Marauders for Old World, because you've kind of had an update with the Age of Sigmar miniatures. But they look great. Lots of good stuff coming out. So I'm really looking forward to the Titus stuff and the 500 Worlds narrative. That should be really good. Yeah, the new Titus miniature does look so much better than the old one. I didn't really like the pose of the last Titus. But obviously now he's more broad, he's got more of a presence, because he's I think he's the second captain. Edward, I just finished kit bashing a mech for my orcs. I'm very happy with the result. Good job. What clan do you paint your orcs? Oh yeah, so last week I brought out a tutorial doing bases. I did 5 bases. For some reason I can't find the sci-fi version, the sci-fi base. But it's the base. It's the base I do for my Tyranids. It's the sci-fi base with the Doom Ball. And then you've got sort of like a very basic Martian base. The cracked lava, sort of the heavy metal, like earth, grassy field base, and then sort of like a snowy base. So a few different varieties. So I always get asked about doing bases, and now I've got a video I can be like, go watch that video. So go watch it. Today's Grail, tomorrow's Beta. Hello. That Tyranid looks great, thank you. So this is the Winged Prime. There is a tutorial on him on the channel if you want to paint one like this. You're almost done with your first squad ever, Dark Angels Intercessors. I do like the Dark Angels. Expect more Dark Angels next year. The Infernus ones, yeah, so yeah, the Infernus ones are great to start with. Magnus, do I ever play 40k or Age of Sigmar or purely painting? So I play a lot of Old World at the moment, and I'm getting into Lord of the Rings. I haven't played 40k in this edition because I haven't really got anyone to play currently. So next year, I'm going to find a gaming club and hopefully find some people to play 40k with. But I want to get my Imperial Fist in first, and I can start finding people to play. Because I haven't really got a 40k army, a proper 40k army yet. Well, actually, that's a lie. I've got my orcs, I suppose. But I want to get my Imperial Fists done first. I want to use those to learn how to play. I used the video, my Dark Angel video, to paint them. Yeah, I was happy with the Dark Angels video because I did You've actually got 4 ways to paint Dark Angels on the channel. An old video, and then sort of the more dated video for the studio's way of painting them. Edward paint you paint the clan as Goths. Good clan. So next week I'm painting a big yellow Land Raider. The video. I've had this Land Raider now, I want to say 5 years. And before this, it was undercoated blue because I was going to paint it for the Ultramarines. But then I started my Imperial Fists, so I just re-undercoated it with Wraithbone, and decided it's now going to my Imperial Fists. And then I decided I want to do a video because I haven't really done well, I've done the Dreadnought, but I haven't really done sort of like a tracked vehicle or anything, and besides it just gives me an excuse to paint this Land Raider. Otherwise I never really get time to do big stuff like this for myself, and I just wanted to do something fun. So I don't really know what kind of painting tutorial I want to do next. It's just, I don't know, I've just wanted to do sort of different videos sort of towards the end of the year. So I think this one's going to be more fun for me. But everyone gets to see me paint a big yellow Land Raider. So I'll be starting that tomorrow. Something else I've been working on is my Minas Tirith stuff. I haven't made much progress with these. So I've got the silver done. All it is Runefang steel with a non-oil wash, and then a light dry brush of Stormhost silver. making sure it's bright armor. And then I've just used Chaos Black to paint like the accessories and any of the black details. But the next thing I need to do, I'm gonna do a dry brush on these details. I've got the command. I have got the Knights and Gandalf, they're in the box, they're built, but I just want to get these infantry finished first. So in this box you get I think 24 of these warriors. So you get 8 with bows, 8 with swords and shield, and 8 with throwing spears or just spears. You get 6 knights, and you get Gandalf the white, but on foot and mounted with Pippin. And I bought myself the command blister. And you get a captain, banner, and musician. So there, I've been sort of on and off painting the black on these because it's probably taken about 12 hours just to paint the black. Just because obviously working up to a solid colour, you do like 3 coats. So we're going to be doing some dry brushing on this live stream. Magnus, I've got myself a tiny Mordor army. The sculpt is so tiny, miss a lot of details. No matter what I do, I can't make them somewhat decent. I'm going to be doing, so when I come to do my orcs, probably the best thing to do is make most of it mute, like dark colours, like dark browns, blacks, and maybe pick one bright colour to do. You could do like a bright brown or a red as an accent colour. Give everything sort of like a wash, and then a dry brush. I think that doing a dry brush just to sort of bring out the details might make a big difference. Today's Grail. Actually, it took me forever to do the base coats. Now I'm entering shading and then highlights. Yeah, the base coats on, when you paint anything, the base coats is probably the thing that takes the most time. I have done some scabbing tutorials. Go have a look there alongside the Stormcast. So I did sort of like beginner videos with the scabbing. You love Lord of the Rings, but those minis are ancient, aren't they? Yeah, so I think Lord of the Rings came out in 2000, so they're not ancient, about 20 years old. But there's nothing else. And they're nostalgic. Maybe they'll update them, but I can't see them updating anytime soon. But most of the characters for the Lord of the Rings they've sort of redone, so they're a lot nicer. It's just sort of like the basic troops, the basic warriors that are sort of like the older miniatures, but they still stand up, to be fair. B. Casper, can you do a Gaunt's Ghost with base paints? All the other videos are primarily using contrast paints. I'm probably not going to do Gaunt's Ghost just because it's very niche. And I probably wouldn't even cover the cost of the miniatures, unfortunately. Magnus, today's Grail, tomorrow's Beta. A lot of them are Mordor's standard orcs from 2000s. Yeah, I mean, I think they still stand up, to be honest, and they're such a small scale as well. You do a nice enough paint job on them, you're not really going to be thinking about that. It's all about just playing the game and for the actual way the game plays is, I've not actually played a game yet, so once I've built and painted this, I'm going to start learning how to play. But a lot of people say it's one of the better battle systems. So yeah, we're going to be doing. So they are. They've got kind of like. I'll take these off and show you the box. So the black isn't just black, it's kind of like, it has like a blue sort of like a blue sort of shade to it. But I'm probably just gonna try and achieve that with just a dry brush. I think it would take too long to go in there and try and do highlighting properly, especially with such small details. I'll end up not finishing them. Yeah, so we're going to be doing Dark Reaper. It's not very strong. Now I don't know what main highlight, because I'll do like a 2-stage. This will be like just sort of a very muted highlight, and then I'll do some line highlights on the cloth and shield. Do the banner. So when I'm dry brushing, I always like to work with a smaller brush rather than a bigger brush, just because I think you end up applying too much paint with bigger brushes. I just work the paint into my brush and just get rid of most of it. And you kind of just want to keep going until there's very little left on the brush. And then you're probably about right. And then you don't need to go super fast. Let's do light. So this isn't really meant to be noticeable. It's meant to be subtle. It's meant to sort of just hint at highlighting. Just there to help bring out the shape. Obviously, the longer you do this, the more it builds up and the more noticeable it's going to be. That's the side that we've just dry brushed, and obviously that's where it's not been dry brushed. And then you can go in with some line highlights on the more sort of pronounced edges and areas. Dark. And then what I'll do is I'll just probably go over like gloves, the cloth, any black, all the black, because it's not gonna affect the silver. So as long as you're careful enough. I'm just gonna end up doing this all over where I need it, on the boots. There's already a chip in this guy because it's metal. How many hours realistically for a beginner who's trying to do a good job should a 5-man Space Marine squad take when batch painting? The only time you really need to worry about how long something's going to paint is if you're on a deadline. Otherwise, just sort of just sit down and take as long as you need to take it. And Tipo, I would say just do it and don't pay attention to the time. My first sororitas were like 5 hours each. Now I can do them in 3 or so with all the highlights. Yeah, you'll get faster at practice. If you worry about trying to do things quickly, then you won't do them very well. Whereas if you spend time just practicing with the brush, you get quicker naturally. So yeah, don't worry about how long something takes to paint. If I was to paint 5 Space Marines for myself, you're probably talking 7 full days. They're like 6 to 8 hours a day. That's what, nearly 50, that's about 50 hours. So about 10 hours for each Marine. And even that to me doesn't sound long enough. It'll probably take probably about 12 to 15 hours per Marine, realistically. But if you batch paint, it kind of knocks some time off. Yeah, if you think you're looking at something that I've painted and thinking, oh, I can do that in like 3 hours in an evening, you can't. You could probably do the most basic of basic paint jobs in 3 hours. Over the shields, I'm just focusing more on the edges. Is that the tree's going to be painted white anyway? I watched War of the Rohirrim in the week because I wanted to watch it for some time. It was alright. It wasn't as bad as people were saying it was. I enjoyed the story, but the animation was the animation wasn't very good. But it did its job, but you could tell they did as little as possible when it comes to the keyframes. I suppose it's a lot of money paying for all those drawings. Selim, you're almost done with your dreadnought already. That's someone who hasn't spent long enough on their dreadnought. You need at least another week. Edward, thank you very much for joining us on stream. Francois, hello. Welcome to the stream. I know Lord of the Rings probably isn't as 40k, it's not as exciting as painting something like that, but you have to remember that painting's the same for everything. Like you could use this for Sisters of Battle and do a like dry brush over the armor before doing some highlights, for example. Or they could be Black Templars. At first, once I saw War Rohirrim, I questioned the animation style, but once I had seen 15 minutes or so, I started to enjoy it. It's quite dark and bloody as well. Yeah, it was choppy right at the beginning, especially in Hammer Helms when they do the meeting right at the beginning. Could have just done with a few more keyframes to actually have the characters sort of move and animate rather than just sort of stand still. But I enjoyed the story. Polar Bear, hello. You don't know why, but you're very quick. I think maybe try slowing down. I think it'll make a huge difference. Well, it depends like what you want to do. If you just want to get it painted and out of the way, then go for it. I'm not very quick at painting stuff. I do try and find ways to sort of work with trying to be quicker at painting stuff. That's why with these, I'm sort of aiming just for the dry brush route with a few details. It's because I've chosen to paint 30. And these are to be played with, they aren't just for display, so I just kind of want have them look good, but quick enough to sort of build a collection of them to start playing with. I think hopefully Lord of the Rings will have a proper revival again soon. I do think the War of the Rohirrim sort of killed momentum with it. It came away from sort of like the mainline movies. But it's very few and far between when they do releases for it these days. I mean, it was this time last year when it all came out. So it's sort of been a year. I'm not really sure what they've released since then this year. I'm hoping, so it'd be nice to see some new releases next year for Lord of the Rings. Maybe update these Minas Tirith warriors. They've announced a new Lord of the Rings film, like The Hunt for Gollum, which is basically what happens when Gandalf leaves, just after Gandalf leaves Frodo the Ring. That's where he goes off to. It's the hunt Gollum. Research the ring. Hello, it's us at. I can never remember. Told me your actual name once. I can't remember it anymore. I'm thinking of starting up something new, but I really don't know what yet. New hobby, new new faction, new gaming system. Usually I just get hooked on something and that's when I decide I want to change to something. I decided I want to do Lord of the Rings just because I wanted to break from Old World. And I wanted to do, I love Lord of the Rings as well, and I wanted to do play the game for a while. Before this is a good opportunity to do that. Oh boy, it's your boy. I'm just showing you what's possible. Tabletop ready. Hello. I do show you what's possible. Arc changer. That's what all my tutorials are about. Just showing you what you can do. And if you want to reach that level, not impossible, but a lot of the stuff I teach in the videos is actually more about the basics. And then really it's just shading and highlighting with different colours. A new mini to paint. Maybe paint something you haven't painted before. Well, like a faction you haven't painted, or from a different gaming system. So if you do 40k a lot, maybe look at an Age of Sigmar miniature. Some really nice Age of Sigmar miniatures to paint, especially like the bigger characters. Maybe a special character in the 40k universe. I'm probably going to be painting something like Ahriman soon. I've still got Marneus Calgar to paint as well. My plan with Marneus Calgar is to have a tutorial of him Christmas Eve, or the week between Christmas and New Year's. But again, for those who don't know, that's going to be a paid video. So it'll be for Patreon supporters and members. That'll be the first video to come out, and that'll be around Christmas or New Year, as a heads up. I'm just finishing my website at the minute, which should hopefully be pretty much done by the end of next week. So after this and a few highlights on these guys, it's just like the flesh and weapons, and they're kind of done. So the thing that took the longest on these guys is not even the metals, it was just painting all the black. I think next time I'll paint the black first and then paint the silver. It was less faffy. find all the swords. Primark Loan. I've recently finished painting Calgar in Terminator armor. I do like the new Marnie's Calgar in Terminator armor. It was just annoying because I've recently put him in his Primaris, the Gravis armor, and if I'd have waited I would have painted him in Terminator armor if I knew. But well done, you should be proud. Anytime someone finishes a miniature and they're really happy with it, you know that's the moment to be proud. It's tough finishing miniatures and getting the motivation to finish something. Probably such a small percentage of people who are in this hobby to paint, believe it or not. Even though I would consider it 50% of the hobby, it's actually probably more like 15%, 10% these days. But yeah, I love all the new Ultramarine stuff. As I say, I want to do the new Titus for the channel. I don't know what I'm doing about the bodyguard and the servants he comes with. I think they're a bit beyond the tutorial at the moment. Maybe I'll finish those for extra content for supporters. Russell, hello, welcome to the stream. I think next year will be a big year. For 40k especially, obviously, with the new edition, there's 500 worlds things. I think they'll start releasing material for the Amazon series. I think Space Marine 2 will get a huge update with the new alien faction. So I think instead of just Tyranids, I reckon they'll probably do Necrons, maybe. Because Helldivers, you've got the Necrons and Tyranids, haven't you? So they'll probably do something similar. George Wright, hello, welcome to the stream. How's it going? Going well. I'm just painting some Minas Tirith warriors. Just because I want to start playing Lord of the Rings. So I've got myself the battle host with Gandalf. But I'll do Gandalf after I've painted the basic guys. I'm just doing a dry brush on the black, just start bringing out the details. And then I'll probably use something like Dawnstone or Fenris Grey to do some line highlights. And then it's just picking out the skin and the weapons. And then the tree on the shield. Shouldn't be too bad. What's everyone hoping for next year in their hobby? Are you wanting to collect anything new? You're hoping anything comes out to buy? What are your hobby goals? I've got my Imperial fists. I'm kind of doing if and when I'm in the mood to do them, which I'm at the minute. So next week I'll be doing the Land Raider, the channel. I also want to do an Eldari army. And I'll probably end up doing a lot of Orcs and Space Marines next year with the new edition. But saying that, if it's not Orcs, I was thinking it could be Tau. Tau's never been in the release box. So wouldn't that be interesting? Or it could be Dark Eldar. I don't know if it'll be Orcs. It would be nice. But I mean, January, February, it'll probably be a May release, May, June. So you probably start seeing February, March, probably April time before they sort of start announcing it. Rassel, I'm miserable. I just got an infection that's making me lose my hair. I've bald patches everywhere. I'm sorry to hear that. Hopefully it's not a permanent thing. Just make sure you're taking care of yourself properly, not trying to rush recovery. I always end up trying to rush any kind of recovery from sickness, and I just make it worse. But no, I hope it improves. Primark, painting Calgar made me realise I love painting Loyalist Terminators. But the Crux Terminators is a must get for me. Yeah, I mean, the Terminator miniatures are my favourite miniatures, and probably 40k unit. My Imperial fists are mostly gonna be made up of Terminators. I want a lot of Land Raiders as well. I'm kind of holding off. I've got one Land Raider, but I'm kind of holding off on any more because I've got a bit of hope that they might update the Land Raider kit to go with the updated Terminators. That's 40k, so if I manage to get all that done, which I probably won't, I'd love to do a Necron army as well. I think Necrons will see some love next year. I know the Nightbringer's being brought out. So I think, is it the Destroyer, the other Catan shard? I think he'll get a miniature as well. But because I'm doing Tomb Kings for Old World, I'm worried it'll probably put me in the mood to do Necrons for 40k. Age of Sigmar, I want to finish the Iron Jaws because I really enjoyed painting those, and I think an army of those is achievable. Tomb Kings is an army I want to do. I want to do an Orc, just sort of like an Orc Tribes Old World army as well. And I want to get a Lord of the Rings collection done. So I'm going to be the first to admit that I'm probably not going to get everything completed. But I'll definitely get a Tomb Kings army and an Orc and Goblin army done for Old World. I'll definitely get some Lord of the Rings stuff painted. I think I'll definitely do the Iron Jaws stuff because it'll be quick to do. just don't know where I'm going to stand on the 40k stuff. Just because I think a lot of the content for the channel is going to be 40k, so I'm probably going to be less likely to do it outside the channel. But realistically, I'll paint stuff for the channel that I can just have for myself anyway. So I'll just sort of end up with what I've painted for the channel mostly. I think it'll be just more Ultramarines and Orcs. But the Imperial fists are pretty quick to paint. The thing that I lose motivation about when painting Space Marines is highlighting them. Even just doing like a line highlight. It does look good, and it's not that difficult to do. I mean, I've done a lot of it now, but it's because I do a lot of it that I think my body's just sort of resisting having to do any more. Oh yeah, but I love Terminators, and it's probably the Terminator tutorial I did that I'm probably most proud of. And Tippo can't wait for some out of new Sororitas miniatures. What would they bring out for the Sororitas? We've got a pretty sizable range already. It's Susa. I'm gonna grab an airbrush to have a play with over the Christmas holidays. I've been looking at a new airbrush. I've got the airbrush set up. I've only got like an actual cheap airbrush. So I might have a look at upgrading that over Christmas myself. Maybe it'll encourage me to do more with it. At the minute, I'll just use it for sort of base colours and other scale models that isn't Warhammer. But yeah, I think having to play with an airbrush is worth it. I wouldn't, just make sure you don't break the bank buying one until you know it's something you want to invest in. I think when I got all the stuff for the airbrush, I think I spent probably about £100 getting a compressor, the spray booth and the airbrush, and sort of like the other sort of bit of accessories and stuff like thinners. I think I'll probably spend about £180 to £200 thinking about it, because the compressor and airbrush was like 100. I think the booth was like nearly 100. But they're bringing a lot of these sort of hand airbrushes with these mini compressors. I'm not sure how good they are. I've not seen anyone use them. Primark loan, what big Space Marine vehicle would you recommend? I don't have any. Well, the next week's video, I'm going to be painting a Land Raider. Land Raider is my favourite vehicle. So Terminator is my favourite infantry kit, and the Land Raider is my favourite vehicle kit. So I'm going to be painting the Land Raider as Imperial Fist. My Imperial Fist army, obviously. I kind of just want to talk about how it's similar to painting your Space Marines. But just have a look at the vehicles, just have a look at what you like the look of the most. That's the right vehicle for you. I'm thinking of the H&S Ultra. Seems a good brush that will last, but also noob friendly. Yeah, go for it. I mean, I'm no expert on or have any knowledge on airbrushes. I wouldn't know the difference between what makes an airbrush worth hundreds of pounds over an airbrush that's like £50. Surely they do the same thing, but it's just me. It's like when you spend £100 on a toaster, like what's it going to do extra that the £20 toaster doesn't do? Because you can buy different size needles and the different size nozzles, or the cheaper brushes as well. That's not that. You can get precision from a cheaper airbrush. I just come from a time in the hobby where it was all about airbrushes and how airbrushes were superior. I never believed it. Airbrushing is superior to airbrushing. Hand brush, this kind of using a paintbrush is superior to doing an airbrush. Fact. Can't believe it's mid-November already. Crazy. I don't think I really painted any of the armies I wanted to paint this year. I wanted to finish my Black Legion Chaos Space Marines, but I've not even touched those. I thought I would have had a finished Imperial Fist Army by now, but there was a while where I didn't paint anything. I did get my Night Goblins finished for Old World though, which I'm happy about. I think a lot of time has been making videos for the channel. Stephen, hello, where have you been? Missed ya. Thought you'd given up. Airbrush is not that important itself, it's the compressor. Airbrush around €60 is alright, but you better spend 175 on your compressor. It gives you constant air so you can paint with no bubbles issues. I feel like that's some good advice. My air compressor's pretty good, to be fair, and it doesn't overheat. You'll probably find that's probably about around the €150 range, so you're probably about right. There was a time where I did try to airbrush about 10 years ago, but I bought a really cheap compressor and airbrush. I think it was like the Revol airbrush that you got on a set. That was awful. And then I kind of gave up on trying to airbrush. And then probably at the start of lockdown, I decided to invest in some actual proper stuff and have a go with it. I even said to myself, it'll help me make my 40k, my Warhammer stock, but I don't actually use it for Warhammer. I just use it for scale modelling. Not much hobby lately. Mum's been pretty sick, so I've been working on that instead. I hope things improve. It's good to see he's still around. I'm just painting some Minas Tirith because I want to get into Lord of the Rings. I'm going to be buying my Tomb King's army in a couple of weeks. I'm going to be starting getting all that ready for getting painted at the start of next year. I think, to be fair, most of my time at the minute's been doing a lot of cleaning and organising. Which has been quite a big job. The new Chaos Marauders look amazing. I never thought they'd update them. I thought, well, they've given us the sort of like the versions of Marauders in Age of Sigmar. So that was like a really nice surprise. As well, they're scaled to Old World as well. So there's an obvious difference between what the miniatures look like in Age of Sigmar compared to like the Old World stuff. So no, they look amazing. I'm looking forward to seeing what their journal's like. At the minute, Marauders aren't... I wouldn't have an army of Marauders. I think most old world armies at the minute are just made up of Tzeentch, Chaos Warriors, and Dragon Ogres. And a Giant Spawn. That seems to be the default. Do I have some Tomb Kings already? I don't. My friend has actually bought my first kit, the Tomb Guard, but I've not received it yet. So they're going to be a brand new army that I don't have any miniatures for. And I'm going to try and paint them as an army together. And I want to make content for the channel with all the army, so you can paint an army of Tomb Kings with me. So that's going to be the only content in January, is Tomb Kings content, so I can paint this army up quicker. That's the excuse. And January is pretty quiet on YouTube as well, so I won't feel guilty about not having 40k content. You got the new Tomb Kings Priest Battle Standard minis lately. Those I'm going to be using the Battle Standard Bearer. Yeah, the new miniatures are really nice. It makes me want to do a mounted army. I definitely want to do a chariot army. I think that'd be really really something with the new rules. Yeah, I'm looking forward to doing some old world content again, because obviously the old world content was the Night Goblins a couple of years ago. And I think even till to this day, that was probably the best release of a video I've had in a long time. Not with just views, but I think in the first sort of 24 hours, that video brought in like 250 subscribers just from that video. So I'm hoping there's some interest in I think the interest in old world is picking up big time. So it's definitely going to be worth doing for the channel. I've got Logan Grimnar here. I want to strip him and have another go. So this was a tester. I like how I did the armor. This is just contrast paints. It's just black with Fenris grey highlights. But I didn't like the way I did the skin. So the way I'm going to do the skin for the Orc army now is the way I did the Iron Jaws skin, with the Gut Ripper contrast and Beltan wash over it. But I'll keep the black armor the same, because I like obviously the retro scheme of actual black armor. And I'll probably just do some chips. So I'm going to re-strip this guy because he's just metal. And then he's going to be my Black Orc War Boss. Oh, what did I call him? Grimgar Ironhide. What did I call him? Did I just call him Logan Grimnar? He's got the big axe. Grimgar Ironhide. Yeah, so this is an old Black Orc War Boss character. He was like the Gazgul of fantasy, and you had to buy him with a Black Orc unit. Neo, nice to see ya. Thank you, welcome to the stream. Just been painting some Lord of the Rings, so this is what I bought for Lord of the Rings. And you get Gandalf the White. So these command miniatures, they're metal. You can see like they've got the... I haven't painted metal miniatures for like 20 years. They're already chipping. So glad everything's plastic now. The new resin that they use for Forge World's pretty good, to be fair. Better than it's better than the fine cast that ended up always having loads of holes in it. Neo, I might pick up the Emperor's Children Battle Force box when it comes out. You should. And use my tutorials. The Emperor's Children tutorials the 2 tutorials that I did for those, in my opinion, are the best Emperor's Children tutorials on YouTube. Oh yeah, I don't really like varnish. I'll probably do a matte varnish, Stormhost Silver, a Storm Shield over them. You're probably right. But I'll need to finish them first. I suppose I could varnish them now and then just paint over the varnish. We'll see. But yeah, you might actually be right there. For those who've just come in, So last week I did my bases video. I don't have the sci-fi base. I've lost it somewhere. I've dropped it. But I did a crackling base, like a lava base. Snow base. An earthy, grassy base. And like a quick sort of red planet Martian base. Excuse me. So they're using the texture paints. I was really happy with those. Next week I'm painting a big yellow Land Raider. They're going to be in the style of my Imperial fists. Which I'm looking forward to. The reason I'm doing this is just to give me an excuse to paint it. It's been sat on my shelf for a while. And I'm just in the mood to paint it. And I want to paint something for myself. Which I'm looking forward to that. Just a heads up as well. Around Christmas and New Year, I'm planning on bringing out my Marnis Calgar tutorial, which is going to be the start of paid content. I'm not going to exclusively paid content. It's just an additional video now and again that you'll have to pay for just to help keep the channel going. Because it's like I either make paid content or I have to stop doing the channel, unfortunately. But any exclusive video like that will all be available to people who support me on Patreon or who is a channel member. So anyone who pays, I think, £4 and up will get access to all these extra videos, extra tutorials. But I'm trying to figure out a way to make them individually available as well, which isn't that difficult. But one of the reasons I'm doing the website is that there's sort of a landing page where you can watch these tutorials, and because I won't make them downloadable for a lot of reasons, but it'll be somewhere you'll have access to these tutorials in a much easier way than Patreon allows it at the minute. If you're a channel member, it's going to be easy enough because they'll just be listed as members only videos, and I'll make a playlist. On Patreon, you can't really organize the content on there, so I'm going to make sort of like a back end to the website where people can go and it'll all be organized there. And hopefully that'll be a place where people can pay for the videos individually as well. So that's why I'm waiting till I've done the website to sort of start that. The flashiest get around. Hello, welcome to the streams. Good to see you again. Look at that. Primark loan, thank you for teaching me how to base my minis properly. Your guides are always easy to follow. I'm really glad. And I'm going to be honest, I never thought I would do a basing video because it's not something I enjoy doing myself. I thought I'll come up with a few different ways people can base their miniatures. Originally I was going to talk about molded bases and using stuff like this, like pre-mixed gravel you can PVA glue. But personally, I'm moving towards the texture paints because they last longer and the way they look now, they'll always look like that. Whereas so if you're using gravel and you're PVA gluing that to the base, it tends to sort of come off and it loses its colour as well. So it loses its vibrancy. So I always And it doesn't have to be Citadel texture paint. It can be, I know people have talked about AK and Vallejo, and I think Green Stuff World. There's lots of different products out there which can be used in exactly the same way as these. But I'm glad I made the tutorial as well, because it got me to experiment with different types of bases. Maybe it's a case where you only need to varnish the base layer. I would have, to be fair, I would have varnished it after the undercoat if I'd have thought about it. I'll do that tomorrow. I'll probably, before I carry on, I'll do a quick layer of matte varnish. So I keep on trying to paint it, it's just going to keep chipping and doing my head in. An airbrush would be handy for the Land Raider, and I was this close to showing people how to put a base coat down with an airbrush. But unfortunately, as I was saying, I'm looking for a new airbrush because the airbrush I had actually broke. So I'm just doing it's just brushed on. But I will do an airbrush video next year, and I think I'll probably do airbrush video for when I do another, maybe like a combat patrol box or spearhead challenge. I'll probably include an airbrush. I'm thinking I might include an airbrush when I get around to doing the spearhead for the Ghost faction. Do you know what? I'm perfectly fine remembering all these faction names off stream, but as soon as when I'm talking to you guys, I forget everybody's name. Nighthaunt, the Nighthaunt. When I get around to doing the Nighthaunt box, which should be next year hopefully, because I'm going to be doing a lot more of the spearhead challenges or combat patrol challenges, I'll probably try and use an airbrush for that, and maybe a sponge technique, just to get the colours down quicker, because there ain't no way I'll be able to glaze that many miniatures. What else have we got? Robot the East. You taught me some nifty techniques. Thank you for your videos. You're very welcome. Welcome to the stream. Charles Hodgson. Hi Michael. Looking forward to the upcoming Land Raider video. Finished my ATV recently. It was my first vehicle and it took me over a month to finish, but really happy with the result. Yeah, vehicles, I feel like, especially for 40k, vehicles really add something to an army, and not just having just infantry. And they're fun to paint as well. I'm glad you finished your ATV. This probably won't, the Land Raider won't take me, it'll probably take me 3 days hopefully. But again, I'm going to be doing mine, like my Imperial fists, with the contrast paints. So for the channel, and the Lord of the Rings, do you know what? The Lord of the Rings stuff I'm painting with traditional acrylics. So I feel like I'm not going to have to paint as much for Lord of the Rings. And when it comes to the characters, I want to do a nice job on them. But with 40k and Age of Sigmar, and even Old World, I mostly do contrast paints. When I do Tomb Kings, I'm probably going to do a mixture, but mostly acrylic paint for Tomb Kings. Just because there isn't that much detail on Tomb Kings, it's mostly the skeleton, which will just be a contrast wash. Ghost! Rogue Spartan, I absolutely love the miniature hobby and all of the stuff, but good lord, Games Workshop really overprices their incomplete plastic soldiers. I think a lot Like the price with Games Workshop, I know they're pricey, but regardless of like inflation and how expensive things are to make and ship around the world, a lot of that money goes into the quality of the miniatures as well, and the talent behind who creates the miniatures and the technology. So the money will go back to investing in future revelations like contrast paints, for example. But it's just the way of the world, having to ship things around the world, and just the cost of materials is going up. But obviously Games Workshop need money to sort of expand and create new miniatures. But it's a hobby as well. I mean, there are like you invest what you can afford. I'd always compare it to how bad Lego has gotten. I don't think it's quite as bad as Lego's been. I think Lego's gotten a bit ridiculous, so I'm glad kind of Warhammer hasn't gone that extreme. Olet, can I do a lizard men tutorial? Yeah, I'll probably do a lizard man spearhead challenge. I would have a lizard man army if they were playable in old world but not legacy, if they were officially playable. Because I know there's 2 different spearheads, but that's one I would like to visit and do in the future. Rogue Spartan, if I buy a combat patrol for 2 factions, would there be enough for a small quick game, and what would you recommend for a Space Marine chapter, command points and Xenos command point aside from Tyranids? Yeah, so there's a way to play 40k where you just use the combat patrol boxes. If you haven't got anything already, the best place to start is buying probably the elite starter box for Tyranids and Space Marines. It's probably the best costed box, because you get 2 small armies in that box that you could easily expand on, and that's how I've built up my Tyranid army and Space Marine army. I bought a couple of those elite boxes. Oh yeah, okay, see, so I'm the idiot. Yeah, so command patrol, the combat patrol. Yeah, if you haven't got anything already, I'll probably start with the elite box, the Tyranids and Space Marines. But otherwise, if you weren't really that keen on either of those factions, buying a couple of combat patrol boxes is the best way to start, because you get, if you go on the website and you go into like the download, you go into like the community tab and you look at the downloads, you get all the rules for free for the combat patrol boxes. So you could actually start playing with just 2 combat patrol boxes, because you get the basic rules for free for the actual game and the combat patrol rules. And you could even just sort of build them to start with and then get started from them, paint them slowly. So I'll do either those 2 things. I think I screwed myself over fully assembling Kato Sicarius. That inner cape is going to be a pain. Yeah, anything with a cape I would definitely keep separate. If you've got to paint the inside of a cape, a flat brush is always good. Something like that, like a flat brush. Obviously, you can sort of press it to one surface. If you go slow, you should be okay. But if you're in that situation, just paint the inside of the cloak first, and then paint the armor, and then just tidy up before you move on. Get it out of the way. If you like Nighthaunt, I recommend Reignor the Grimhaller. He's awesome. Yeah, the intention is to have a Nighthaunt army. The combat patrols, you'll probably see me do the spearheads, for Age of Sigmar. I think the next one I'll probably do Stormcast. I think that'll be a fun box to do, because you get a really nice character in there. You get the chariot as well. There isn't a lot of miniatures in there, and it'll be different. It can be a nice sort of continuation from the beginner video I did for them. So I think that'll be the next spearhead I do, is Stormcast. I probably won't do Skaven. I don't know why. Maybe I'm just not that enthusiastic about painting Skaven at the moment. I'm saving myself to do a Skaven army for Old World. So I'm kind of avoiding painting any for Age of Sigmar. But I'll do Stormcast next for a spearhead, and then it's going to be the Nighthaunt. I want to do Stormcast because they're the Stormcast. They're like the main faction. And I want to do Nighthaunt because I feel like I can be inventive with the way I paint them and do some funky stuff with an airbrush and maybe like a sponge. I'd love to do the Sisters of Battle Combat Patrol box, but I just don't think it's that exciting. I would have liked a vehicle in there. If it had a character, the basic troops, and like a vehicle, I would have done it. I just don't think it's a very fun box to paint. I know I want to do Mechanicus Combat Patrol because I haven't done any Mechanicus content on the channel. So that's definitely going to be an up and coming video. But yeah, that's what I'm thinking of with the boxes, because the Iron Jaws video was fun to do. And I get a small collection that I can build on. Independent retailers sell the same boxes at a much cheaper price. Last few I've bought haven't gone to the Warhammer shop. But yeah, so there's a lot of retailers online. I'm changing over my affiliation, so I was with Firestorm Games, but I'm making the transition to Elemental Games, which will change over with the website when I finish that. So there'll be links to go through to these websites that you can help the channel with. Rogue Spartan, I can't argue with their quality. It's the highest in detail and the highest quality material out there. Another good thing to do as well, especially with all the starter kits. So with 40k, obviously this Infernus Marines and like the Gaunts, and the extras there. And obviously in Age of Sigmar you've got the Stormcast Liberators and the Skaven. Oh, Alzy Forbes, thank you very much.
Became a member. Alzy Forbes celebrates 12 months of
12
membership.
months.
Hello everyone, hope you are all good.
You were definitely one of the first members. Thank you so much. Yeah, if you do become a member, you get a fancy pop-up. What was I saying? Yeah, with the channel members, I should be able to add more icons now, because at the minute you get a badge for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months, and then it jumps up to a year, and then I think like 18 months, 2 years. But I think they have to unlock with a certain amount of members, so I'll have to check, because I've got badges ready to go for the longer supporters. It's just that YouTube have not given me that ability to do it because I haven't had enough members, but I might. I'll have to check tomorrow. What was I talking about? I was talking about changing over to Elemental Games. Then you asked, you can't argue with the quality. Oh yeah, the eBay thing. So you'll find a lot of the stuff from the starter boxes really cheap on eBay. So obviously they're all being bought up and people buy things for certain miniatures and then think, oh, I'll sell the Skaven or the Stormcast or the Gaunts or the Infernus Marines on eBay, and you'll tend to get them for about a third the price. And that's what I've done from all the Gaunts in my Tyranid army. I think I end up paying like £8 for 10 Gaunts, which is like 16, which is like half the price of a kit. But obviously they're the basic push together ones you get in the kit, with nothing sort of extra, but it's good filler. I think I screwed myself over fully in this. Oh, you've asked that, so I'm just catching up. What's my favourite miniature release of 2025? What have we had this year? I haven't really bought anything new, honestly, for myself this year. All the stuff I have been working on has been existing stuff in the range. I think the recent new Space Marine characters were really good, because I've got Lysander. I really like the White Scar character. I'm waiting for him to come out separate so I can do a painting tutorial on him. The new Terminators, updated Terminators, but they would know because they were brought out with a new release. But I'm glad they've done the Assault version. I can't really think, to be honest. The Cathay stuff's really beautiful. I can't really think that there's anything hugely memorable in terms of release this year. I know the Emperor's Children for a lot of people get a kick out of that. I suppose the Death Corps of Krieg. No, yeah. For me personally, there hasn't been anything I've been really excited about. Just a lot of the small stuff. The zombie dragon's amazing. Neo, Michael, what's your way to paint leather? Been trying to experiment as of late. That's something I'm still thinking about. Probably the best video to go watch my attempt to paint in leather is probably my Space Marine Chaplain. If you're talking about like like a cloak or something. But leather tends to have a texture. Just keep watching like my most recent tutorials where I might paint leather, because my most recent tutorials always include my sort of new way to paint something, like a new preferred method. Rogue Spartan, do I consider 3D printing to print bootleg and proxy miniatures to practice your techniques on for different factions? There's a lot of free STLs online, at least one model from every faction. I mean, if you can, you can get like the free miniature of the month from a local Warhammer store if you're able to. I know there's been a lot of people telling me that they can't. If you've got a 3D printer, then go for it. I just don't think anything free, like an STL file that's free, is going to be worth painting. But yeah, just to practice on, I think it's a good idea. Especially if it's just building up that confidence. But I wouldn't tell someone to invest in a 3D printer for doing that. I mean, I've got a 3D printer, I love it, but I don't really print off proxy miniatures. Just because I love the miniatures that Games Workshop create already. Egon, hello, welcome to the stream, it's good to see ya. Would you consider painting Castellan Crow? Would love to see him in your style. I have thought about it. There just wasn't a great reception for that miniature. But I love him as a character. I love the old model as well, but it wasn't this new miniature wasn't well received. So it kind of put me off. Otherwise I probably would have painted him by now, to be honest, because I like the character. That's the only thing that stopped me. I think I want to look at doing some of the Inquisitor stuff next year. I love the Imperial Agent stuff. That's probably one of the most interesting collections to do. Dadius, are you going to paint the new Ultramarines? I'm going to paint the new Titus. That's the only thing I've planned to paint for the Ultramarines. I know there's some really nice characters, but I'm definitely painting Titus for the channel. Definitely. Because I'd be stupid not to. War Machine do an interesting monthly STLs patron thing now. All kind of add-ons and terrain and alternative sculpts for the main lines. That's a good idea. I wanted to I can't even speak. I wanted to do War Machine when I was younger. It was quite popular in the early sort of 2000s. But then it kind of like got quiet, and I think it's recently that it's sort of picking up again. Would love to paint some more character minis. I would love me to paint some more character minis. I will be doing some more character miniatures for the in two ways. I'll be doing some for the channel next year, but I'll also be starting a character series for patrons and channel members. So there'll be extra tutorials. So I'll be doing Marnie's Calgar around Christmas and New Year. That's when the new content, well, the extra content will start coming out. I think I've already decided what I want to do with Marnie's Calgar. I think I'm going to paint Magnus the red after Marnius. And then I might paint the lion. I will make those available for about £3 individually as well. I don't think Games Workshop will ever release STL files. I just think there's a lot of issues with, I think they're just so protective of their IP. And as soon as you've got access to an STL file, then obviously you can print enough, you can continue to print that all day long. So making that plastic kits becomes redundant. I think they would lose a lot of money if they decide to go that route, because it just opens up to too much. I don't know. I think it would ruin the economy of miniatures if Games Workshop decided to do that. And it opens it up to too much exploitation, I think, for the actual miniature files. Unless they create some kind of digital one-off printable thing where you only use it once and that's it. But it's like printing off more gold to make more money. It makes it less valuable. Do flashes get around? What do you think of the new Nurgle miniatures for Age of Sigmar? I love them. I love the metallic colour scheme, like the metallic green colour scheme. I think I would love to do, I've never done a Nurgle army, but I can see why people are so passionate about that collection and that faction, because they've got some really amazing looking miniatures. And it makes me want to collect Nurgle. Do I share your upcoming projects videos on your Patreon? I do as much as I can. I've just been sort of lagging behind. I haven't been on top of creating content the past couple of months as I work on my website and sort of like behind the scenes stuff. But I always update and show work in progress as much as I can to people on Patreon and to channel members. As well, there's a Discord that you get access to where you can sort of talk to other members, people working on their projects, and you've got a few people in the Discord tonight. I know Stephen's often in there, so you can post all your projects as well and get feedback from people. And I'm in there as well when I can, when I get the opportunity to. And you can join Patreon as little as £2 a month. Stephen, sounds like even Forge World is winding down its resin products. They're redoing a bunch of the Necromunda ones in plastic too. And talk of plastic titans in the works. I think as Games Workshop expand, I think a lot of the stuff that's stopping Games Workshop doing everything in plastic is the cost of the machinery to stamp out the kits. I think it's probably cheaper for them to do the resin molds, especially if there isn't that so many. to make. I think if they're guaranteed to sell the volume, they'll do it in plastic, because I think it's worth the investment. But I know Games Workshop have been expanding their whole the factory and all the equipment and stuff, so they've probably got more access to these machines to print out the plastic sprues. Because eventually it probably becomes a lot cheaper to print off the plastic, whereas with the resin it probably costs the same amount forever on every single individual one. I know with the Titans they probably cast it when they get an order, and I know with resin especially you get a lot of cast-offs, so not every time they sort of create a new kit in the resin, there'll be a lot of miscasts just to get a good enough one to sell. I don't know if that's the case now, but I know that used to be a problem back in the day. But it's all about logistics and the economy of how things cost and what to print off. You've obviously got a lot of the Forge World Knights have moved over to being plastic for Heresy, and I know the kits have been getting bigger, so it's only reasonable to think that with Horus Heresy they'll probably will eventually do at least a plastic Warhound. I doubt STL files will ruin the miniature economy. Only a handful of people can get 3D printers, and even fewer can do it. I know Games Workshop can charge low for their models and still make huge profits and recoup costs. With the 3D printer culture, 3D printers becoming a lot more affordable, but the quality that you get out of them as well is really good. It's just like any kind of technology, it becomes better and cheaper. I think that's going to be the way with 3D printers. As well, if you think like in the game console world, a lot of the time you can bring out a game that will sell the console. So it's not like, oh, it's not just about wanting to buy the console, is there a reason to buy one? And I think if Games Workshop started releasing STL files, that'll obviously encourage more people to buy the 3D printers, so I don't think that's really an issue. Especially if you're spending, say, like £300 on an army anyway, that'll get you can spend a lot less money on a 3D printer. It's just the marketplace will just become flooded with STL files, and I'm gonna be honest, it would ruin if Games Workshop decided to bring out STL files. It would take a lot away from people who produced decent proxies as well that people can buy. So I think it's beneficial for them if Games Workshop didn't bring out STL files out either, because that means Games Workshop doesn't have a monopoly on everything. Archon Studios did a massive plastic pirate ship recently, and that kind of convinced me that Games Workshop could easily do a Warhound Titan. Can you send me a picture of this pirate ship in the Discord if you get a chance? Archon Studios, or at least remind me what of the studio. I'd like to have a look at that. Given the process of 3D printing, I would be fine buying the plastic minis if they weren't so expensive. highly disagree with the outlook on consoles. Exclusive cannot sell consoles. Exclusive. That's why all console exclusives are getting PC ports, and even I agree with you. But when Grand Theft Auto comes out, there'd be a reason to buy a PlayStation 5. That may not be how the market works now. I'm just using that as an example. That has been the case with consoles. I'm just saying, if there's a reason to buy a 3D printer, people will buy a 3D printer, not just to have the 3D printer, but just to have the ability to print these STL files off. If you get my meaning. What I would like Games Workshop to do is just innovate on something that doesn't exist. There's already a lot of companies and people pushing 3D stuff already, whereas I think Games Workshop need to come in and find new avenues that people haven't explored. Just because Games Workshop have got the talent and money behind them, I think it'd be a waste for them just to sort of do the same as everybody else. And I think that's what Games Workshop are good at doing, especially with their, like, the Citadel products. Everyone's always chasing to catch up with Games Workshop, and that's just the truth of it. No, thank you, Stephen. And there are obviously a lot of other companies outside the miniature world, so stuff in the scale model world like Tamiya, Vallejo, they do great products as well. But they make products that work for scale models, whereas Games Workshop come up with products for miniatures. Squidmar put an RC car in the pirate ship. That sounds fun. I'll have a look at that. I know Squidmar came out with his dragon. The Flash Gits, I gotta go, weren't here tonight for long, but great stream. Thank you very much for coming to the stream, I really appreciate it, especially joining in the conversation. Hopefully see you next time. So I'll be streaming again in a couple of weeks, obviously do this every other week. But who knows what Games Workshop are going to do, really. But it'll be fun. It's always fun to see them push the technology and the market forward. So they are sort of investing their potential. And it just creates competition for, like, the smaller companies to push themselves. Archon made his Dragon 2, I think. They do all the smaller scale plastics for people in Europe. Trench Crusades too. Oh, interesting. Archon. Games Workshop will always have people accumulate massive piles of shame, and they will always be there giving out big spending. That's why I'm not worried about Games Workshop too much in several places. Yeah, for one, I want Games Workshop to stick around. And I love that companies sort of orbit games. Like, obviously my YouTube channel works around the Games Workshop product. But that's because I'm a fan. Selim, thank you very much for sticking around. Enjoy yourself. I think next year is going to be a big year for Games Workshop anyway. I think it needs to... I think it's doing the right thing at the minute. It's pushing its sort of IP out into the normal world outside of the miniatures. It's becoming more of a franchise now. and licensing the games and other products. I think that's a big push that Games Workshop are going to be on, probably for the next 5 years. But that's good. It'll bring more people into the tabletop miniature hobby. Games Workshop could disappear tomorrow and I'd still have enough grey plastic to paint for every day for the rest of my life. Yeah, exactly. Like the miniatures and the games don't go, do they? I think I saw some when I went to Warhammer World. There were people playing old editions of games. And someone was playing like 4th edition fantasy. It was interesting to see. Yeah, so next year should be interesting. Right, I think we're about done. Thank you very much everybody for joining me in this live stream. Thank you for joining me for nearly 2.5 hours. But my voice is getting quite croaky now, so I'm losing the ability to speak. I actually did a bit of painting on today's stream. We did a little bit of dry brushing for these guys. As always, I'll keep you updated on my personal hobby stuff as well. Stephen, I hope they bring back more time now that Warcry's seemingly done. I would love them. They'd be absolute idiots if they didn't bring out more time. I think people are speculating Gothic. If they bring Gothic back, they're bringing back more time, especially now Old World is a big thing. Baked to Nerd, it has been 2.5 hours. Yeah, you're very welcome. But yeah, so next weekend on Sunday, I'll be painting a big yellow Land Raider. If you're a channel member or Patreon, you'll see updates for this throughout the week. I'll probably do an update on Wednesday. Tell you how it's going. The next video after the Land Raider, for those who are still here, I'll give you an exclusive. It's going to be a video on paintbrushes, but not brands of paintbrushes, but just how to use paintbrushes, how to treat them, how I look after them. I think I've got enough information now to make a video on paintbrushes. And again, it's just that I haven't got a lot of time at the minute, as I want to get my website finished, and I'll be starting work on the Marnius Calgar video. Reboot Gulliman. I've been saying Marnius Calgar all night. I don't. Reboot Gulliman, the Primarch. For that. I also know what the last video is going to be for the channel this year. But I won't. I'm not going to say anything until it's close to the time anyway. Black base coat and dry brush your metal paint on top. That's an easy way of doing metal with some aging. I went over. So I did Runefang steel for these. The thing where you just do a dry brush of metal over black, it looks too messy for me anyway. I feel like I'm just too used to doing like a full base colour and then shades and highlights. It just gives a better contrast to the details for me personally. But these are just Runefang steel, Norn oil and then dry brush Stormhost silver. It's really quick to do. It took longer to paint the black because obviously there are a lot of small details that are black, and then you're doing a couple of coats for that. Imperial Fist for the win, and I'm Ultramarines now. Since your paint tutorial, I'm stuck with them now. I've got the Imperial Fist going, and I've got the Ultramarines, but obviously I've built the Ultramarines collection from the channel. But you don't need to stick with the Ultramarines. You can change chaps at any time you want. Am I going to close the channel at the end of the year? I'm not. So I'll always do this channel, even if it's it just becomes a hobby. But I'm still trying to make sure it's able to support me. But what that's meant is that I'm going to be introducing videos to try and encourage people to become channel members and patrons, or join on Patreon. Because at the minute it's kind of like goodwill that people are signing up for these platforms to support the channel monetarily, which I'm really appreciative of. But looking forward to trying to encourage more people to join those platforms, and to make sure I'll make it worth joining them and to give back. I've decided to make exclusive painting tutorials and content for those platforms. They're not going to replace the videos I do already on the channel. I'll still do 2 main videos for free still, because obviously that's going to be bringing people into the channel to start with. Eventually the goal is to have one of these videos every month that's extra, if I can fit it in. But otherwise it'll probably be every 6 to 8 weeks. So, and obviously as more of those become available, it just becomes more, there's even more reason to sign up to Patreon and as a channel member, because there's all this exclusive content. That's the plan anyway. And I still have a second channel, lore channel, in the works, but that kind of fell apart this year. But I'm hoping to sort of start that up again next year, again when I've got time. But yeah, it's all to try and help make this viable as a career, and so I can do it full time. Because unfortunately not all channels are Squidmar or Midwinter Minis. For the rest of us it's quite a struggle. But yeah, thank you very much again for joining me in the stream. I always end up talking so much I can't talk anymore. Next Sunday will be the Land Raider video. I'll obviously let everybody know when that's out. In 2 weeks time we'll be doing another live stream. I'll probably have these guys finished then. I might do something more 40k related for the next stream, or something interesting to teach you guys. So if anyone's got any suggestions on what they'd like to see me do in these live streams, you can always comment below. But going on from the Patreon talk, you join these platforms, it really does help pay for the miniatures and paints and brushes. And you can join as little as £2 on Patreon. And at the moment there isn't much difference in the tiers. It's just how much you want to sort of sign up for. So yeah, thank you again. Enjoy the week, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks, and I'll see you for the next video.